FNAF is a very special franchise. For such a niche jump scare game, its impact on modern horror is undeniable, especially when you look at genres like mascot horror or analog horror.
How could you do that to your own father? I hate you. I've always hated you.
And with such a special franchise, obviously, comes a very devoted fan base, one that will unconditionally pump out music, let's plays, and the topic of this video, animations.
Bonnie, oh my god, I will slap you!
There are two types of animators in the FNAF community. People who make impossible, try not to laugh, FNAF security breach animation! And people who put the time and effort into retelling or continuing Scott Cawthon's story with their own style and theming, called an alternate universe or an AU. In this video, we'll be discussing one of the latter. Pixel Captain is a YouTube channel you've probably seen before, if you've been around the animation community, that is. And he's a very talented animator who's rocking a whole 143,000 subscribers as of writing this. However, I think that number is still miles lower than it should be, especially when you take a peek at how high quality his catalog is. His animations mainly focus around his AU and the two series that make it up, The Masked Resurgence, followed by The Masked Devotion, which is the series he's currently finishing. One thing Pixel has done with these series is that he's made their stories incredibly vague. By technicality, Pixel's AU is made up of music videos, synced with a song that fits the setting for each episode. As a result of this, each animation leans heavily into the storytelling method of show don't tell, which leaves many scenes up to interpretation or just straight up unexplained. That, combined with the fact that his story intentionally deviates from the official FNAF lore by an insane degree, figuring out a concrete story for The Masked Resurgence and The Masked Devotion is a difficult task. Due to this inherent vagueness, it has always come as a shock to me that people weren't making videos analyzing Pixel's AU, and while I'm no game theory, I've definitely had my speculations since the story's inception. So, in this video, I'd like to go over this series, specifically The Masked Resurgence, and give my take on its story at the end. Without further ado, let's begin. The funny thing about this episode is that it was the second to last episode released in the series. It was just labeled as a prequel to the old episode 1. Sweet Dreams starts with us getting a long shot of what we've learned to be the Afton household, quickly cutting to Evan Afton's room, where we get to see a storybook of The Masked Resurgence with the main text splattered by ink and a funny message by Pixel on the back cover. We then see Evan himself waking up in the middle of the night, and we see a silhouette of Nightmare in the background. As Evan checks outside his door, his Fredbear plush is possessed and begins to levitate objects around his room, before hinting at the fact that he was searching for William. Upchucking an entire arm and revealing himself as Nightmare, he summons the other nightmares from beneath the floorboards, showing that, in this AU, Nightmare is not only physical, but he's also very powerful. He then devours Evan's soul before taking control of his corpse and... yeah, he's not looking good after that. Nightmare pushes Evan's corpse to Fredbear's family diner, and once inside, the Bite of 83 occurs, with Michael Afton and his friends pushing Evan's head inside Fredbear's mouth, accidentally causing it to clamp down and bite Evan's head open. Michael's friends run away while Michael stays behind to help his brother. Instantly, William Afton notices the incident, and after pulling Evan free from Fredbear, he dons the spring Bonnie suit and slaughters Michael's friends as revenge, who go on to possess the modern Freddy, Bonnie, and Chica animatronics. Meanwhile, we see that poor Evan is in some kind of purgatory, with Nightmare forcing him inside of the Fredbear suit, symbolizing Evan's possession of the suit in the real world after William tried to put him back together. Fun fact, you can actually find a Siren Head Easter egg in this scene, but it was so well hidden that nobody could find it until Pixel posted a behind the scenes video for this episode and literally told us it was there. Getting back to the real world, we see William lamenting over the Fredbear suit, now with Evan inside, before Nightmare bursts from a portal behind him in one of my favorite scenes from the entire series.
Don't fear what's coming. We can fight off the urge inside. It's dark and you're afraid of the devils that come out at night. Let's make this easy. Soon you'll haunt these beats you hated. No need for sleep tonight. Sweet dreams are overrated. Don't fear what's coming. We can fight off the urge inside. It's dark and you're afraid of the devils that come out.
Once the Nightmares finish mauling William, Nightmare forces William inside the completed Spring Bonnie suit, throwing him into a chair and triggering the spring locks before vanishing without a trace. After a brief scene showing how all of Michael's friends went on to possess the modern animatronics, and how Elizabeth already inhabits the circus baby suit in this AU, we do a major time skip to many years after the future, after the suit and William have already decayed. Scrap Baby rolls into the room, before noticing Nightmare watching William from the corner. The two of them share a glance before Circus Baby's eyes go red while watching William's body, who has now become a Springtrap. In a post-credits scene, we see that Springtrap is alive once again, this time with the same red eyes that Scrap Baby and Nightmare both had. To start this episode, we instantly see Springtrap up and running again, seemingly taking place directly after Sweet Dreams, as his eyes go from green to red repeatedly. As Springtrap walks around the diner he was left in, he pulls out a lighter and starts thinking about burning the place down under the control of these mysterious red eyes. He then does so before escaping the building onto the open street. As he walks away from the diner, we see flashes of Scrap Baby following him, seemingly hinting at the fact that Baby is the one possessing him. Springtrap then turns around to see the diner explode from the fire, alerting local police, who then start trying to capture Springtrap as he was outside the scene. Knowing he can't fight a police task force, he runs into the woods to lose the cops' trail. While in the forest, he gets a vision, making him face Nightmare for the first time since the Springlock failure. His vision is then hijacked by Scrap Baby, confirming that she is the one controlling his weird red-eye mode thing. She then begins to dissect Nightmare and stitch his body parts to Springtrap, who's stuck in a catatonic trance as Baby does so. We then see a scene of Baby on a throne with Springtrap standing idle by her side, possibly showing how Baby has complete control over Springtrap now, which she instantly demonstrates when the vision ends. He then unveils both of Nightmare's arms from his back like wings before trying to fight the cops. He's then shot, which snaps him out of Baby's control as he then charges the burning diner. As the cops pursue him, Springtrap tries to hurl himself into the fire, but he's caught by the police at the last moment. The episode ends with Springtrap in a cage, being hauled to prison. Now, on to the most popular video from the series, as well as Pixel's entire channel. The episode begins by showing us another vision in Springtrap's head, showing how he's fallen under Baby's control once again before cutting back to reality. He's still in prison, but with Baby's help, he easily rips the hinges off his cell. He then unsheaths Nightmare's claws out of his own before he approaches a security guard for the prison. Using Baby as a distraction, Springtrap manages to tear off the security guard's head before trying to shatter the Baby's distraction to free himself, but Baby stays in control and suddenly turns Springtrap into an owl. After the security guard, Baby forces Springtrap to go out and slaughter every other staff member of the prison before breaking out of the prison for good. We then cut to later that evening, when Springtrap had ventured to the Fazbear Frights attraction with an axe in hand. He then eyes the Freddy, Bonnie, and Chica animatronics before decapitating each one, allowing the spirit of each of Michael's friends out. Keep in mind, this is all under the control of Baby. Springtrap then offers to free the spirits by burning the attraction down in exchange for helping him achieve Baby's goal, whatever that is. The spirits agree, and the place goes up in flames. This, just like the last time Springtrap burned down a pizza place, attracts the local authorities, and to fight them, he merges the spirits with his suit, empowering Baby's abilities and her control over Springtrap. Once the police arrive, well, just see for yourself.
I've no idea what we've been through, time and time again. Don't hold it on to our deadliest demise. We can't keep you
After that scene, we get to see a little bit more of the moment in Sweet Dreams where Baby and Nightmare meet. This time, it shows Baby properly possessing Springtrap if you had any doubts at this point. Cutting back to the real world, we see the phantom spirits of the freed souls appear next to Springtrap, showing their union. Once they vanish, Springtrap unleashes his full power, impaling one officer, smashing a car, blocking bullets with a broken door, and when he's shot, absolutely shredding one poor officer off screen. After the massacre, we see a news article showing the burning attraction and a photo of Springtrap with the news that people had correctly connected him to the missing kids all the way back when William killed Michael's friends. We then get a long shot of the animatronic heads, and when the episode ends, we get to see an after credits scene of Nightmare speaking to Evan inside his suit. But that was made to set up Sweet Dreams, which was being released around this time, so has no relevance to the story. This episode starts before its music does. We see a panicked, Baby-controlled Springtrap fleeing the scene of the Fazbear Frights massacre and eventually making it to a desolate area of the forest. We then see a defeated-looking Springtrap sit down and start to rust as his power depletes after his fight with the cops. After being disabled for 6 years, Springtrap finally wakes up. Baby's control weak enough to resist after that much inactivity. His suit rotting and broken, he finds a woodcutter's axe, and as he picks it up, Baby's control reinstates itself. Finding a poor passerby, Baby makes Springtrap kill him with the axe to get his cloak, which would be a perfect disguise for his now infamous face. We then see a long walking scene, with Baby letting Springtrap go temporarily as he reluctantly trudges towards Baby's next goal. Eventually, we see where Springtrap had been going, the Afton residence. Still not under Baby's control, Springtrap breaks inside, noticing a missing poster for himself on the front door. He hulks his way upstairs before opening a single bedroom door, leading to Michael Afton, sleeping, unaware of Springtrap's presence. However, seeing a photo of Michael in his Foxy mask causes Springtrap to drop his axe, waking up Michael, who pulls out a pistol and fires on Springtrap. As he's hiding, Baby finally takes control of him again, causing him to take even more fire as Michael escapes. After Springtrap swung his axe at Michael and it got stuck in the ground, Michael was able to hop in his car and escape before Springtrap could pursue him. We then see Baby let go of Springtrap once Michael has driven away. We then cut to a flashback scene where Springtrap sees himself as William again, inside the Spring Bonnie suit, then killing Michael's friends, then getting spring-locked, then ending the flashback with him burning down Fredbear's family diner. After realizing what he has become, William feels Baby's possession coming over him again, his heart beating red inside his suit, before his eyes roll back in an attempt to resist Baby one more time. We then get this beautiful scene which will forever stay as my favorite piece of FNAF animation, and that I'll let speak for itself. Tearing out his own beating heart, William wails in agony as he crushes the organ with his bare hands. We see the visions of himself, Nightmare, and Baby crumble and burn inside his head as he subconsciously apologizes to his daughter for ending both their stories this way. We then see a mental slideshow for us, the viewer, to reflect on William's journey thus far. Ever since Evan was bitten, to the Springlock failure, to freeing the spirits, to the Fazbear Frights massacre, all the way to now. After what once was William Afton crumbled to the ground, long dead. We see police arrive with Michael as he realizes that William was the man inside the suit the whole time. We then cut to the last standing remnants of Fredbear's family diner, where we see Scrap Baby one last time, a black, icky substance that could only be her mechanical blood pouring from her wrists as her eye goes dark, marking the end of the masked resurgence. So, after analyzing each video and giving you a general plot description, it's time for me to start delving into the lore of the masked resurgence itself. Please know that before I start, this is just my interpretation of the story, and that this series is so wonderfully vague. I know for a fact that I won't get everything right, and there is bound to be a plot hole here and there. With that out of the way, time to pray to MatPat and start talking about lore. To start, where can we find details about the story besides the videos themselves? The answer is simple: their descriptions. Specifically the descriptions of Left Behind and the series itself on Pixel's YouTube channel, on his playlist. Those descriptions alone confirm Baby's possession of William and his intentions when he went to Fazbear Fright. While those are both pretty obvious plot points, it's a good start. Next up, we have 2 spin-off videos posted by Pixel that, unintentionally, probably, gave us a bit of lore through Pixel's commentary. For example, in the Sweet Dreams behind the scenes video, he confirms to us that the grayed out Evan is him being possessed, and he just straight up tells us that Nightmare was going after William the entire time, and how Michael is spared by William and only his friends are killed in the missing children's incident. We also get to learn about the Siren Head Easter egg in the Purgatory sequence, as well as what Springtrap looks like when you don't have a Spring Bonnie model. We do not, sadly, get any lore from the Left behind the scenes video, because Pixel didn't add any commentary to that one. So, here's what we know so far, and while I'm at it, here's the lore for the first episode, Sweet Dreams. Evan Afton is woken up in the middle of the night by Nightmare, who possesses him in an effort to reach William Afton, who he's really gunning for. Evan is forced into Fredbear's family diner and is killed by Michael and his friends, so in a fit of rage, William dons the Spring Bonnie suit and mirrors Michael's friends, but spares Michael specifically, probably because he stayed back to help his brother. Nightmare then ambushes William and traps him in a Spring Bonnie suit, which spring locks him and traps him there for an undisclosed amount of time. While he's rotting in the suit, Scrap Baby, who's possessed by Elizabeth Afton, tries to find him in a quest for revenge, as she died in a suit of his creation. However, when she discovers he's already dead, she makes a deal with Nightmare, who wants to torture William as well, to bring him back to life using Nightmare's power and force him to go kill his only remaining son out of spite. Now, given what we know so far, that ending might seem like a bit of a stretch, especially without dialogue. However, to me it makes sense. Nightmare wants to see William suffer, just as Baby does, so Nightmare grants Scrap Baby his power, and Baby possesses William, bringing him back to life. Now she lives inside his head, and can remotely possess him, which is when his eyes go red and he loses control of himself. Then the quest for revenge comes from the description of Left Behind, which states, after Springtrap's planned escape goes wrong, the voice in his head tells him to get revenge. This description can be interpreted in many different ways, but to me, the idea of revenge is being planted by Baby, the voice in his head, who wants William to kill Michael as self-torture. Meanwhile, William actively chose to spare him after the bite of 83 and doesn't want to kill his son willingly. Now, let's move on to Play with Fire. To me, there is significantly less lore to go over here, as Play with Fire is easily the most linear episode when it comes to the story. Play with Fire has no behind the scenes video or any lore drops in the description, and there's only a few parts that are confusing from a lore perspective. So my theory for Play with Fire is as follows. William is woken up from being dead by Elizabeth and Nightmare's power, and he's instructed to destroy the diner for the sake of hiding Baby's location, or for the sake of destroying an old horror story. When he does this, the local authorities arrive to assess the situation, and they begin hunting Springtrap. William is then encountered by Nightmare again, and Baby uses this opportunity to infuse Nightmare with Springtrap, giving him Nightmare's arms as weapons. William then attempts to break Elizabeth's control over him by hurling himself into fire to end himself, but he's caught at the last second and jailed. Like I said, pretty straightforward. Episode is very linear, except for one detail I'll come back to at the end of the video. This episode to me was just set up for Left Behind, and since it's less work for me, I'm all for it. Speaking of Left Behind, let's start on that. Left Behind is another straightforward episode for the most part. Things start to get weird when William makes a deal with the spirit children, especially when it comes to the reasoning of it and why the children would willingly merge with Afton when he's the guy who killed them in the first place. My theory is that the episode starts as it's shown, with William breaking out of prison with Baby in control. We see brief moments of him trying to resist Baby's control, like when he breaks the monitor Baby's face is on, but otherwise it all goes as written. Once William reaches Fazbear Frights, he frees the spirits under the control of Baby, and the spirits see that William is being possessed by another spirit. They then agree to help Baby with her efforts, and since that means torturing William through possession, they also merge with Springtrap. We then see the massacre of the police, and then the episode ends after we see the spirits were put to rest after William collapsed at the start of Our Little Horror Story. Obviously, the spirits would not help Afton willingly. I know this is an AU, but one of the core things about FNAF is that the victims of William Afton always haunt him until they're free. That and the fact that Baby was in control of Springtrap when he was making the deal convinced me that the spirits were agreeing for the sake of torturing Afton by helping scrap Baby. Then they're put to rest after William seemingly dies from a lack of power at the start of Our Little Horror Story. Now, on to the finale of the Masked Resurgence, and my personal favorite episode. Afton's been disabled for 6 years, and all the spirits are free. Now, to figure out the lore of the final episode, all we have to do is go over all the previous episodes and find any loose ends that might be tied together. Without further ado, let's dive into my theory. William escapes the scene of the massacre and Left Behind before finding a remote place to stay dormant for 6 years, since Baby expended all the power keeping him going in the massacre of Fazbear Frights. Once he's awake, Baby forces him to his final destination, since even she's aware that his body is decaying. When he reaches the Afton household, he's not under Baby's control, and genuinely means no harm upon entry. Once he sees a photo of Michael in his Foxy mask though, he startles Michael awake and Baby takes control of William again. Once Michael escapes due to William's hesitation to kill him, William reflects upon himself, before tearing out his heart and ending his nightmare along with Baby's. Upon this, not only does he die, but Baby does as well, her body rotting in the diner, with the blood of nightmare running out of her wrists. There isn't much extra lore besides what was given in the episode, although the ending is very important. Much more important than anyone watching this series when it came out could have predicted. The blood of nightmare plays a very, very crucial role in the plot of the Masked Devotion, but I'll save that for another time. Before I give my closing thoughts, I should probably bring up the elephant in the room. If you watched the series before hearing my thoughts about them, then you would have noticed that there is one detail I skipped over, specifically in Play with Fire, but I did mention it in Left Behind. These two phantom animatronics. To me, their inclusion in Left Behind makes sense because they represent the union between William and the spirits, but in Play with Fire, they appear twice. Once when he's burning Fredbear's family diner, and again when William meets Nightmare. I cannot, for the life of me, figure out what these guys mean. Originally, I thought that they were the roaming spirits of Michael's friends, but that shouldn't work because, by that logic, Michael should be the one possessing Phantom Foxy. But obviously Michael was spared, so I don't know why they're here. If anyone in the comments can figure this out, I'd gladly hear them out. I don't know where these two are supposed to fit. This is the big plot hole that I mentioned I'd probably have, and at least to my knowledge, it's not answered in the Masked Devotion, so it's not even like set up, just something I missed probably. After all is said and done, I can happily say that Pixel Captain has easily become my favorite FNAF animator, without question. Other animators like Sonar have amazing storytelling for their craft, but Pixel takes it to a whole other level. I want to say a big thank you to Pixel for putting in the absurd amount of effort it takes to animate this masterpiece of a series, and for allowing me to use its footage in this video. To everyone who made it this far, please go check out Pixel's other work as well. Not only is he working on the finale to The Masked Devotion, but he releases other high quality animations around the holidays, and he deserves way more attention than he has right now. I can't thank him enough for allowing me and so many others to experience his professional grade storytelling, and I can't wait to see what he does next.
5 nights left to find you. One last thing to tempt you. You'll feel what I can do, but you'll never